Good morning, Jamie. How are you doing?
Yeah, all good, all good. The rebuild has begun. Starting with a bit of bodybuilding because the CrossFit my own workouts were too hard for me at the minute. So back it off just a smidge, but still involved. Still getting stuck in.
I've seen that you're going to start following Shrunky's Dawn program, aren't you?
Yeah. Just the reason behind it is I know I can control the intensity a little bit better. It's set reps and stuff versus if I get myself in a CrossFit class, as we all know, you kind of get yourself led astray, chasing numbers and stuff. So I'll still touch base with my cardio stuff and I'm just gradually building it up, but just in a more controlled environment than trying to be top of the leaderboard. I can't help myself.
Yeah. To be honest, I feel like I'm probably going to end up following it in the next couple of weeks, start following it, because past week or two, with sorting the gym out, just not really done that much training. So like you say, it's kind of one of them to just set a good base before, getting stuck into more actual CrossFit. So yeah, like you say, just developing a good hypertrophy base and just some longer aerobic workouts before, just getting stuck into a bit more CrossFit again. So yeah, I'm with you there. We can share stories.
Oh, definitely. Well, I'm still struggling to walk from Monday and it's Thursday, so it looks like the desired effect was there. So.
Oh, love it. Right, let's get stuck into this week. 6th of December.
Yep.
Crikey. Right, Nasty Girls kick off the week. Classic. I always remember watching this at regionals in like 2013, and Ben was there. Steve was there, and a couple of the other UK guys, and it's one of them workouts where you're watching it because there's a bar in it, there's rings in it, and there's the air squats, and you're like, this is a proper CrossFit workout.
Yeah.
So what are the thoughts on this one then this week?
Yeah, exactly the same thought as you, like from the nostalgia point of view, watching Ben and all the UK guys going at it on this. It's one of those ones that when you watch it, you're watching those top level competitors and you're like, go faster, but because they're going unbroken, they're just absolutely fine. Obviously, the most notable video you ever want to watch, we'll try and post a link, is watching Fronin versus Scott Panchek, and they're on the final 10. And Fronin just schools him by putting it over his head and walking to the line, whereas Panchek goes over the bar. And from that moment, every athlete has to go over the bar now because Fronin outgamed the game. So yeah, if you're a CrossFit purist, it's unreal. But things realistically, when we're going into a class, we're not going to see anyone skyrocket in it. But what we are going to see is a good push on the air squats. And this is where we're going to start to see some like direct interference for those people that have just got muscle ups. So pushing the pace on the air squats is really going to make the muscle ups quite challenging. So if you've got someone new to it, I can picture a couple of our members where they're like, I've got bar muscle ups and my heart rate's down. I don't know if I've got them when my heart rate's up. Back off the pace on the air squats. I know if I was doing this, steady air squats, so I can do 7 muscle ups. If I do fast air squats, it may mean a 4 and a 3 on the muscle up. So that's the difference between 30 seconds and a minute and a half if you have to break those muscle ups. On the hang power cleans, nice and steady. I would break them up from the start if you feel grip might be a limiting factor. So a couple of sets of 5, a 6 and a 4. And that gets you a round 1 time, which is fairly quick. Hang on in round 2. And then round 3, you're really kind of just trying to pick up that pace again. If you can be realistic, those bar muscle ups may break down for most normal members, where it's like, okay, small sets, but just keep moving.
Are we looking for 2 sets at the most on the muscle ups? Are you saying maybe on the first set, maybe 3 on the later at the very, very most in the later rounds, or what are your thoughts
definitely there? As people are warming up, we want to be kind of naturally scaling the workout. So reduce it to kind of 3 sets at the max if someone's kind of chasing for their 7 reps. But be honest with someone, we want to be done in about 90 seconds on those muscle ups. So if they're unsure, give them a 90-second time cap in round number 1, and that will self-select their number. Ultimately, 15 minutes is quite a large period of time. It's 5 minutes a round, but all of a sudden, when your air squats take you 2 minutes because you're going super slow, that time does start to dwindle. Be realistic again on the hang power cleans, even though it's in the brackets are relatively lightweight. The effect from the muscle ups and the air squats do make these cleans quite difficult. So it's just be steady on them, move well, and then push the other two pieces, because we've got a bit more to come straight after, right?
Yeah, we have. It's another one on the hang power cleans as well. Like if you underestimate them and you're not moving as well as what you should be, when you're not moving well with a bar, it makes your heart rate shoot up really quick and really high. So again, just not underestimating them hang power cleans and just moving well will just keep your heart rate that little bit lower and make everything else a bit easier. We're going big after that workout though.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of those CrossFit staples. Whenever the CrossFit Open comes about, whenever you kind of see it at a kind of a more advanced level competition, they want you to be able to lift heavy under fatigue. It's the CrossFit catchphrase, like, can you do it when you're tired? We've got a 10-minute window, potentially a little bit longer. If you finish the workout a bit quicker, say you finished in 10 minutes, there's a bit more time. As a group, if you want your members to start going heavy straight away, they don't necessarily have to wait. But from experience of kind of going heavy after maybe a slightly grip intensive workout, is the first few reps feel way worse than after a few minutes of just settling down. So the common tendency when you see a member, they finish their workout at 60, what they'll do is before they do any of the reps, they jump straight to 80 or 90 or 100, and then they miss the rep and they can't work out why. Do a few reps where we're just trying to land in the bottom of the squat or in that power position, at those lighter weights, flush out the forearms, stretch them on the floor, and then start building up. 10 minutes is a huge amount of time for a heavy single. You could probably be going every 90 seconds to 2 minutes for quite a large period of time. And then as soon as we feel something kind of heavy on the legs or heavy on the arm, we can then just take a little bit longer and build and build and build.
I think as well, just planning roughly what your jumps are going to be on the way up, and maybe as a bit of a strategy, like if it is feeling good, do slightly different jumps to what you usually would. So rather than going like 75, 80, 85, maybe go 77.5, 82.5, so that if you're getting towards PB territory, there's the potential there to PB by 2.5 kilos, or rather than making your usual jumps and hitting an equal PB, might as well go for that 2.5 kilos more, eh? So yeah.
A good strategy for that is to just add those 1 kilo plates. I know it's very competition-esque, but if you've done your 60, just go 61 and then take your like normal size jumps. But because you're offset by a kilo, it means you never equal a PB. Say your PB is 80 and you get to 75 and you've been taking 5 kilo jumps. You then have to take a 6 kilo jump to do something you've never done before. That's the wrong way to go about it. It's, can you be 76 and then it's 81, and then all of a sudden you can take smaller jumps from there. So a couple of different ways to skin it. Slightly 2.5 kilo jumps if you're feeling good. If you're looking for a minimum improvement, the old Kaizen, improved by 1%. That's what we're after.
Let's going on to the Tuesday. We've got some snatch work. We're keeping it just as percentage work this week. Looking at dialing in good positions. You should be looking on the hang snatch to mirror your bar path, so it's the same as your full snatch. So making sure that barbell is staying close on the hang snatch on the way down and on the way up. What I tend to see quite a lot is people get kind of lazy lowering the bar down, and because it's away from the body, it stays away from the body on the way back up. People really try to bring their hips to the bar and they bounce the hang snatch out in front of them even more, and end up missing the hang snatch. So I feel like for this piece, like I say, mirroring that hang snatch and making sure it looks like your full snatch is going to be pretty key there. Have you got any thoughts on that, or anything you tend to see in classes, Jamie?
Yeah, I see exactly the same. A good way to kind of fix that from a coach's point of view is the view of when you're watching someone lift. If you're watching someone square on, coaches need to change that. Never stand square on when someone's snatching. It's eye contact's always a bit awkward when someone's lifting. But secondly, it's not going to help them and it's not going to help you. So the best way I describe it is the Instagram shot. It's where people set up their phones. That's the perfect angle. It's just off to the side so you can see them from the front and from the side. And yeah, you're exactly right. You draw an imaginary line between your ankle, your knee, your hip. So when the bar's contacting, you need to have that straight line. If your hips are in front of your knees, 9 times out of 10, that bar's going to go away. And then you'll commonly see it with someone jumping forward to chase it, or they'll miss it out the back door behind them. Both are not going to help. So just trying to see that coach's eye from the side. Another way to fix it is to just come down slower into that hang position. So if they are making that mistake, if they come down slower, naturally they'll want to keep it closer to them, because they will feel the bar getting away. So a couple of different ways: coach's eye, and then travel down slower.
Excellent. This workout on the Tuesday, dead simple, team of 3, max distance row between 3 people. This screams to me kind of a rowing WOD style workout. What would you be, what are the key things you'd be addressing to your members on this one? I've got a few things in mind, but you go first.
So a couple of things. How the workout originated is, if you're looking at individual training programs, normally this would be written as 250 meter row, rest twice as long as it takes to do it. So that's where a lot of individual programs will be written. Putting it in a class, this makes it far more entertaining. You get the same training stimulus, but because of the group mentality, you end up kind of maximizing that potential. So that's where the workout's kind of written from. Whenever you see individual programs, you can kind of make it a group element by putting it in a team. Now, secondly, it screams intensity. Okay, when you're resting twice as long as it takes you to do it, it means that you've got ample time to really amp it up. So make sure people come in with the correct intensity and mindset on this, group people correctly. So if you've got a group of 3 that are really chomping at the bit to give this a crack, get them together. If you've had a few people maybe a bit tired or a bit sore from the previous day, try and get those guys to go together, just to make sure that you don't create an argument, because everyone's had that when they're in class where one person wants to go for it and the other 2 are like, no, not today. So those would be a couple of points that I would be focusing on, is just making sure you get the right group in and you go hard. Yeah,
I feel like just a few little kind of niche factors for this workout. I'd probably set the rower to 250 meter intervals and with no rest, so that as soon as one person's finished theirs, it stops, and then when the next person jumps on, it starts ticking from 250 again, just so everyone's making sure that they do the same, and one person's doing 260 and the next one's doing 240. That sprint start that you've gone through before, I feel like this is a great opportunity to be practicing that as well. So just the finer details like that, they're just going to be, really helpful for other workouts going forward as well. So
most certainly those transitions are a good thing to practice nowadays. There's so many competitions out there. You've probably got, I would say 60% of your gym population do some kind of competition, from the in-house throwdown to trying to go as big as possible, as trying to qualify for maybe a semi-final. So everybody's kind of included in that team mentality and understanding how to get on and off a machine. Learned from Rowan Rod pretty quickly that if you can get on the machine 5 seconds faster every time, and you've got a 10-round workout, you can be 50 seconds quicker than the person who has the same fitness as you without really being any fitter.
Yeah. Free speed.
Free speed. Love that.
On to Wednesday, we've got front squats, and we are going from the rack today. So this is week 3, or is this week 4 now?
This will be week 4, so we're back into the rack. Yeah. So
this is week 4, back in the rack. So after this week, I think we're going to drop the pauses, aren't we?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
So this will probably be the last big week with a pause, and obviously we're still looking to build the weight, from the past couple of weeks that we've been doing. So it should be getting to the stage now where it's getting pretty heavy, and it's not too far off the max, I'd say. But again, just really reinforcing, trying to keep that tension in the pause is going to be key, because if you can get that first rep, you're definitely going to get the next 2 reps. So for me, just teaching people how to brace, that for me in this session is going to be one of the most important factors. How about you, Jamie?
Yeah, I agree. So kind of watching the 3-rep max happen, yes, 2 days ago in the gym, some massive numbers coming out now. People are getting confident with their clean. And then secondly, people just absolutely bossing those front squats, staying nice and upright. Big comment was, oh my God, my abs hurt a lot from doing front squats, just trying to maintain an upright posture, which is great. Yeah, just to touch on, once you get the first rep, the next two are going to be tough, but they're going to be manageable, learning how to catch the bounce. And then secondly, just trying to learn how to be confident and comfortable up in that front rack position. How can you keep braced, but then have enough time to take a breath before you go again? Don't rush that second and third rep. It will bend you forward. You won't have enough breath, and then you'll miss out the front door, not because you're not strong enough.
This workout after, we had a very brief chat before we jumped on, and you said you'd roll this almost a bit like a PERS workout, in the sense that you'd be doing you go, I go. So obviously there's a bit of a caveat to that, isn't there? That rather than it being 15 minutes, it'd take 20 minutes, but the class will probably roll a lot smoother if you did it that way.
Yeah, most certainly. So whenever I see a work to rest of 1-to-1, I always consider can I make the class go you go I go? So say you pair people up of similar ability levels, it's half the amount of equipment that comes out, which means that can speed up the process. And then secondly, because you're going with a mate, you tend to kind of have a bit of a push more so than if you were just kind of rolling through this workout on your own. There are a couple of like logistic caveats with this workout. We're looking at 5 minutes on, 5 minutes off. If you're doing it as an individual, that's 15 minutes work. It was 5 on, 5 off, 5 on. Whereas if you are doing it in a pair, what you end up is you need another 5 minutes to be able to do it. Now, the reason I love it is the room energy. Whenever everyone's working, it's all good. But then there might be a 5-minute period where you can use it to kind of coach and develop. But looking at the difficulty level of the class, you're not necessarily going to need to coach or redefine too many points. So it's keeping that energy one group into the next. The music can stay high, the intensity can be there, and then you get that buzzing room where once you get to the point where it runs itself, from a coach's point of view, you don't feel stressed, you feel really good. So a couple of different things in there to kind of make the group environment slightly different if you want to try it.
Epic. Thursday mover. We've got a little bit of a one with a few higher skill movements in. When I say higher skill, the other one is just kind of rowing and down ups. The other one's got a couple of movements that would be, just handy to practice. So we've got the wall walks in there, the hang cleans as well, and then some lunges just to kind of open the hips out as well. Just a dead simple, good Thursday session, really. If you want to push the intensity, you're able to. If you want to just kind of move through it, again, you're able to. I don't think too much more needs to be said on that this week.
A rest from the thresholds from the previous week and the following week coming up. So nice move. Get some skills in there.
Great. Right. Friday, we've got our handstand push-up progressions again. I think we battered the door down last week, kind of emphasising, why you'd go for a piped handstand push-up over, a minimal range of motion strict handstand push-up with three ab mats. Is there anything you've kind of picked up in the last couple of weeks that you've seen maybe people not doing quite right, or?
I think head position, biggest one, certainly from the downward dog handstand push-up, or like the pike and on the box, is just understanding that tripod. So where your hands are in relation to your head. So when you're coming down, making sure that head goes in front. A good cue I go for, make sure the top of the head touches. And when you're at the bottom, you should be able to see your fingertips. That will tell me that your head is in front of your hands. Otherwise, if you're drawing a straight line, I would say that's more for quite an advanced level strict handstand push-up. It's the shortest range of motion, a straight line. Like if we get someone like Steve in here who can do 50 unbroken, he wants to go straight down and up because it's the quickest way to get your reps. Whereas the way to get your reps when you're first learning is to get your head in front. It creates a base, then you can teach kipping, you can teach headstands, there's a whole host of things. But overall, massive improvement, scouring the internet, or didn't even have to scour it, it's on my algorithm. Looks like a few of their members are absolutely banging out strict handstand push-ups in the EMOMs, which is great to see. So all the work's being done.
Good. We've got one more week, don't we, on upping the volume.
Yep.
Before we either retest or we'll look at blending it first with maybe a little bit of interference work before we retest. We'll let you know what the score is next week, what the plan is going forward from there. For the workout, super simple, pretty low skill, couple of bodyweight exercises, flashed in with some, just again, wall balls and double unders in there. Should be quite a long one, this, really, looking at it. And it's quite deceiving because, like you say, like 25 sit-ups, it's no problem, that. Then 25 wall balls, you're like, it's quite a big set, but you'd be looking to push that movement unbroken if you can, because the sit-ups, your heart rate is going to come back down. And same for probably the double unders and push-ups. People's heart rate is probably going to come down on those push-ups, especially if you struggle to do them. I know for me, I probably find a handstand push-up easier than a push-up for whatever reason. So I'd be looking at breaking them push-ups a bit more and just making sure I go quickly into them double unders every round. What are you kind of telling your members on this one?
Yeah, it's some simple fitness, but this is the stuff that kind of builds good tolerance, good joint health, because it's not loaded too aggressively that it's going to beat you up. But what it will do is it'll expose some weaknesses in maybe your shoulder endurance. That's probably where you're going to see it. A lot of people will be surprised, even with putting their hands behind the head, how that can affect their wall balls to an extent. And all of a sudden, that midline tension, trying to stay upright on the wall ball, you're starting to lean forward. You'll get those common things where the member goes, "Cool, my back's blowing up," and it's not because your back's weak, it's because that's where everything's going on to, because you're leaning forward. So from a coach's point of view, encouraging good mechanics, and then good shoulder intensive finisher with that double unders and push-ups. You're exactly right. I don't think anyone, well, tell us if any of your members do this, can go unbroken on 50 doubles and 25 push-ups for 4 sets. It scares out to me. The last 2 rounds are going to feel like a Murph shoulder, where you're doing 3s and 4s and you're like looking at the clock and it's taking 3 minutes to do 25 push-ups.
Yeah, especially after the wall balls as well. And like you say, I guarantee a lot of people will have DOMs after them sit-ups.
100 sit-ups, 100 wall balls, 200 doubles, 100 push-ups. Roll on Saturday.
On to the Super Saturday. We've got a chunky partner workout for this Saturday. Some synchro work mixed in there, some splitting of exercises kind of between the two in there as well. It starts off with 150 chest to bar pull-ups. What you saying?
Yeah,
how you doing?
So, this is kind of born off of, this is taken from the whiteboard workout that day. But then what we wanted to consider is people's ability as a regular gym member on their chest to bars. And I'd probably say these are the movements that are good when you're fresh. So the nice thing is they are first, but we've got to be realistic. Like 75 reps is a top level member's 5-minute test. So whenever you're working and resting, we should be looking at that 5 to 7 minute bracket where we're going through pretty quick. Because as soon as one member finishes, the other one can jump up and hit their reps. So as a guide, 5+ reps per member every single time should be the goal. So if a member's warming up and they're thinking, right, I've got a good 10 to 12 sets of 5 with equal work to rest, you should be doing that number. Don't be afraid to scale it down. because that's where you're going to kind of keep that stimulus. Because as soon as you've done that, you roll into synchro with a partner, and this is where we're not splitting the work up. This is where the hard work really kind of starts to begin. There's all just simple fitness, and you just want to have a steady pace. Choose a weight that you can get over 20 reps before you take a break, and then just keep chipping away. Because when you get onto the row, the intensity goes up. As soon as you get a little bit of rest, you're just pushing through. And then those 50 burpee box jumps at the end, they're at a slightly higher height than where you were. So just be aware the first couple of reps, your feet are going to feel like they're still in the rowing straps. So tuck your heels to your butt, land like a skateboarder, and make sure you land on your feet on the other side. That's how you're supposed to do it, not on your head.
We don't want any shin injuries, that's for sure. And just to go back to the chest to bar pull-ups, I think 5-minute pace, like Jamie said, if you're the team that's, maintaining 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, or a couple more reps in that all the way through with minimal rest, you're going to be on to that next exercise, first. If you're a team that's going 10s and then it's creeping down 7s and then 5s and then 3, 2, 1s at the end, it's going to take you much, much, much longer. So yeah, bear that in mind, bear that 5-minute kind of pace thing in mind as well. To finish the week, we've got our usual kind of maintenance work keeping imbalances at bay, making sure we're just spending some good time and attention, getting quality movement in. It's quite nice, this piece this week on the strength work, because you're having to support one dumbbell while you're pressing with the other. So there's kind of a bit of an added stability element in there as well, which should challenge the core, which is a nice little twist on that really this week. I like that. And then to finish up, we've had this during lockdown, or a similar workout during lockdown. So anyone that's kind of done that before and is doing it again, it'd just be a nice little kind of one to see where you're at with doing gym training compared to home training as well. So yeah, what are you, anything you want to add?
Yeah, with the strength work, it's quite simple. Just to clarify, if anyone's a bit confused, you have both up, you come down and up for your 10, and then your next 10 happens straight away where you're doing double arms. Same thing for the kettlebell or the dumbbell bent over row. So a little trick, if you don't have kettlebells, because obviously with the loading it's underneath, a couple of 20-kilo weight plates and then get your dumbbells on top of that, it will work exactly the same way. Yeah, you're bang on with that lockdown workout. I think I encouraged or got people to try to not put the kettlebell down or the dumbbell down the entire workout. And I think I had a couple of people that did it, but then they said for about 30 to 40 seconds at a time in the round of 40, they were holding the weight. So it was like there was an additional exercise of just having a hold. They really wanted to put it down, but they were trying to prove me wrong, which is always good. Good workout to build some tension in the hips and the glutes. And we all know how good reverse lunges are for opening up the hips and the thoracic area. So
great stuff. Looks like another epic week. I feel like I say that maybe every week, but it does look like a really good week's worth of training. So I'm excited to see, how you guys get on with it, to be honest. I'm sure you're coming up next week, Jamie, so I'm sure I'll get the ins and outs from you. We've got a few more things up our sleeve planned next week. Just trying to create more information for you guys, more resources, just to give you as much value as possible, really. So excited to have you up next week, Jamie.
Awesome. If you guys have anything that you're like, right, that would be a good addition to the program in terms of troubleshooting this, or how do you do this, how do you run classes, or what do you do in this case, pop it in the WhatsApp groups. Don't be afraid. There's no such thing as a stupid question, because we're here to help. We want to make the product as good as possible. So keep firing away your questions and your comments. If you don't think something's any good, let us know, because if it's not good, we'll get rid of it.
Awesome. Right, we'll leave it there. and I'll see you next week.
Yeah. See you later, guys.